Every time a cross-platform game comes to Nintendo Switch, its weak as gets owned. We usually get sub 30 FPS experiences that look awful. A big downgrade from the PS5 and in some cases even PlayStation 4. While Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown isn't one of those experiences, it actually looks really good on the Nintendo Switch. 1080p resolution in docked mode. Yeah, it's not 4K like the PS5, but there's not much missing in terms of the graphics and the experience. I mean, who can really tell unless you're playing on a giant TV or zoom in 4 times. In portable mode, it is a lower 720p resolution. That's really the limits of the smaller screen. Even in 720p resolution, the game looks really sharp. The big question though is the FPS. Ubisoft promises a 60 FPS experience on Nintendo's handheld, while the powerhouse PS5 gets 4K 120 FPS. So is the Nintendo Switch really 60 FPS? Is it stable? Technically, yes. Most of the gameplay is 60 FPS. When you're roaming around combating regular enemies, solving puzzles, or trying to get past the intense platforming area, it's all gonna be 60 FPS for the most part anyways. There's still the high intensity areas where the frame rate drops into the 50s, like this section. Typically when there's some special effects going on screen, the frame rate does dip. There's also certain areas where the game kind of noticeably freezes for a few milliseconds. Every time I would go into this area with this particular boss, the game would freeze. Then there's the cutscenes. I mean, you saw the thumbnail, didn't you? The cutscenes are 30 FPS. So the game sort of yo-yos between 30 FPS and 60 FPS every time there's a cutscene transition to gameplay. I actually have no problem with 30 FPS cutscenes. The gameplay is where 60 matters, and Nintendo Switch does a fairly good job there with just some minor issues. Beyond the frame rate, resolution, and graphics, you're gonna get pretty much the same experience on the Switch as you would on the PS5. Even the loading screens are pretty much non-existent on the Switch. For those that like gaming on the go, the Nintendo Switch might actually be the best way to play this. The Switch is a lot less bulky, smaller, lighter, has more battery life than the Steam Deck, Rogue Ally, or Legion Go. This game's not demanding, and really if I was to spend my money on this game, I would actually prefer to buy the Nintendo Switch version. By the way, I didn't spend money on this game thanks to Ubisoft. I got a review code. For the rest of the video, I'm leaving you with some more gameplay of Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown on Nintendo Switch with that FPS counter shown.
You are immortal. Death is your destiny.
Any sign of the prince?
None. And I've been scouring the place for 3 days.
3 days? Why kill the prince?
The son was just a pawn. Don't you trust my judgment?
So you truly want the throne?
What will you do about it?
Exactly what you taught me.
This was your doing, Sargon.